From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Mike Miles. The Right Honourable Brian Mulroney, Canada's Prime Minister from 1984 to 1993, has died. A man known for inspiring strong emotions in Canadians, he was 84 years old, just shy of his 85th birthday. The news was confirmed by his daughter, President of the Treasury Board of Ontario, Mulroney, on social media platform X. Mulroney says the 18th Prime Minister died peacefully, surrounded by family. As former Prime Minister, Mulroney will be remembered not only for his political successes, but also his constitutional failures. Salima Shivji reports.
1984, Brian Mulroney and his progressive Conservatives are swept to power by a huge margin. A year later, the Prime Minister, crooning alongside U.S. President Ronald Reagan, highlighted Mulroney's signature move. Free trade with the United States became a bitter flashpoint, the debate central to his next election in 1988. Mulroney won again and set about trying to fulfill another key promise, recognizing his home province of Quebec as a distinct society and winning its signature on the Constitution. 2 attempts, the Meech and Charlottetown Accords, both failures.
Bad day for Canada.
Mulroney did sign a treaty to tackle acid rain, winning praise from environmentalists, and implemented the GST, further fueling his unpopularity. He resigned in 1993. Later that year, his party lost all but 2 seats. The end of the Mulroney era, 9 years at a time of great change for Canada. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Former CBC News chief correspondent Peter Mansbridge says another part of Brian Mulroney's legacy was his work to free South African leader Nelson Mandela.
He pushed Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan into accepting the idea of Mandela being released from jail and eventually the end of apartheid. That wasn't easy. That's never been forgotten by the South Africans. I was in South Africa at the time of the funeral for Nelson Mandela, and I'm telling you, Brian Mulroney, who was welcomed in South Africa as a hero.
Justin Trudeau calls Mulroney an extraordinary statesman. The Prime Minister says Mulroney was committed to Canada and served it in many different ways.
He had the courage to do big things, whether it was negotiating free trade with the United States and then with Mexico, all the while standing up to protect Canada's environment, to push back against the Americans on acid rain.
Trudeau says Mulroney offered advice and counsel to his government during the renegotiation of NAFTA. That resulted in the USMCA trade deal that was signed in 2018. In other news, as of 11:30 Eastern Thursday night, less than half an hour from now, Mexican travelers entering Canada will again require a visa. The federal immigration minister says the move was prompted by a sharp increase in asylum seekers from Mexico. Tom Perry has more.
Speaking in Spanish to make sure his message is getting through, Immigration Minister Mark Miller confirmed Canada is tightening restrictions for travelers from Mexico starting tonight.
Mexican citizens will need a visa to come to Canada or obtain a valid electronic travel authorization if they hold a valid U.S. non-immigrant visa, or have held a Canadian visa in the past 10 years and are traveling by air on a Mexican passport.
More than 25,000 Mexicans applied for asylum in Canada last year. Miller says most of those claims were rejected or abandoned. Quebec Premier François Legault had urged Ottawa to take action as many people arriving from Mexico settled in his province. Legault has asked the federal government for $1 billion to help Quebec provide services for asylum seekers from Mexico and other countries. Tom Perry, CBC News, Ottawa.
And that is your World This Hour. For CBC News, I'm Mike Miles.
Now your regional weather forecast. In Edmonton this evening, 60% chance we'll see some flurries. That should clear up overnight. A low of -21. The wind chill at -27. In Grand Prairie this evening, mainly cloudy conditions. Light wind, a low of -27. The wind chill at -33. And there is a risk of frostbite. Risk of frostbite overnight in Fort McMurray as well. Mainly cloudy this evening. Low of -27. The wind chill at -33. For tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud. High of -18.